I once made a pair in a club game, which is almost impossible to do. But I've been obsessed with batting my entire life. And so I put that into my new book, The Art of Batting. Being that I'm not very good at that skill, I decided to talk to other people who were. So I hit up as many contacts as I could just to talk about batting. Rahul Dravid, Brian Lara, AB de Villiers, Kumar Sangakkara, Ross Taylor, Susie Bates, Nasser Hussain, Ian Chappell, and so many, many, many more. I wanted batters to talk about how they and their friends made runs, because that is the art of batting.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Good Areas Live. I'm Behram who you can find at DefMango on Twitter. And with me is my mate and colleague, Varun Alvaconda, who you cannot find on social media, even if you try. And just before we begin this podcast, I'd like everyone to know that all of these podcasts on our Good Areas network, they are powered by our supporters on Patreon. You can become one of them by going to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast, and then you can enjoy ad-free content. You can talk to us exclusively, and you can also give us recommendations for footmarks and crick picks and all of that fun stuff. All right then. The agenda for today is that Varun and I will be looking at Pakistan and India's T20I squads that have been announced for the Asia Cup, or in Pakistan's case, for the Tri-Series versus Afghanistan and the UAE and the Asia Cup. Varun, where would you like to go first, India or Pakistan?
No, might as well do India first, I guess.
Sure thing. Let's look at the squad then. First up, we've got India, and they've announced what, a 15-man squad, is it, Varun?
Mm-hmm. There's 15-man squad, and I believe there's 5 reserves.
Okay. So I remember you and I were having a conversation where you were like, if Pakistan has announced a 17-man squad, why has India just restricted themselves to 15? How do you feel about that?
The only thing I can think is maybe it's practice for the actual T20 World Cup, and then whereas Pakistan might be a bit unsure about the last slot. That's the only reason I think. Because I think we've been saying it for a while, the actual squads do need to be bigger for World Cups. I think 15-man squads are a joke. 17 or 18, I think, is fair, you'd say, right?
Yeah, I'm team 18-man squads for all ICC and ACC events, I suppose. But it's not a stipulation in the Asia Cup, clearly, because Pakistan have selected a 17-man squad. I do think it kind of makes sense for India to narrow it down to 15, because if it is going to be 15-man squads for the T20 World Cup, then might as well prepare. And, I mean, India don't have a lot of questions to answer, I suppose, with respect to who those guys will be, who will feature in that tournament, whereas Pakistan probably have way more questions. Or no, definitely have way more questions.
Yeah, I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. All right, then. Let's look at India's squad. If you could just bring it up. I know we've done some cool, fancy graphics like last time, which elevates the viewing experience for people. All right, so you can do the honors then. Tell us the squad.
So the squad is Abhishek Sharma, Shubman Gill, Tilak Verma, Suryakumar Yadav, Shivam Dubey, Hardik Pandya, Jitesh Sharma, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Varun Chakravarti, Jasprit Bumrah, Arshdeep Singh, Harshit Rana, Rinku Singh, and Sanju Samson.
Now, first glance, that's a very, very strong squad. Although the immediate question, I suppose, that came to my mind, or something that really confused me, Varun, was that Shubman Gill, despite being a solid anchor in T20s, and he's done well, right? I'm not saying that he's a poor T20 player. I personally would have picked Jaiswal ahead of him if I were to open the batting with Gill. I would have Jaiswal open the batting instead of him. And then if India are thinking of playing Gill at 3, I would have kind of leaned towards Shreyas Iyer at 3, given the sort of IPL that he had. So that's the biggest concern for me, even though this is still, an Asia Cup winning squad.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I didn't have Gill in my first 11. I didn't have Shreyas Iyer either. And I actually don't think I even had Jaiswal. So it's either way, I'm if any of them were going to be in the first 11, I wouldn't have been completely happy, because my logic is the team has been doing well, just reward them, pick them, and you give them a chance to flop at the international level. I completely get why they want a quality player, in the sense, not saying the rest of the guys aren't quality. By quality, what we mean is batters who can do well in T20 cricket but have a good red ball background, so they can handle tough pitches. That's essentially what we mean by quality. So we knew that one of Gill or Jaiswal would come in just for that reason.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because they've named Shubman Gill as the vice captain as well. That's something that India loves to do. They are vice captain obsessed, and Jared loves to rant about this, but that kind of tells me that they want Gill to be a regular across all 3 formats, and they're giving him this opportunity. I just don't feel very comfortable, because I feel like whilst both of Gill and Jaiswal are S-tier talents, I would have Jaiswal ahead of him in T20s because he bats fairly quicker than him, right? So, and plus, like, are they planning to open with Gill and then, have Sanju Samson lower down the order? Or are they intending to open with Samson and Abhishek and then have Gill at first drop? I just don't understand what the psyche is over here or what the thought process is.
So I think Samson was batting as 6 in one of the leagues he was playing in. So maybe the team has asked him to reinvent himself as a number 6 batter. I think Joy Bhattacharya was tweeting about it. So if that's the thinking, then Abhishek Sharma and Shubman Gill probably open the batting when you have Tilak at 3 and then Sky at 4.
Yeah.
And then so on and so forth, right? That's probably where my head's at.
I understand that, and I saw Joy's tweet as well. My counter argument to that would be that we know that Sanju Samson can be so good opening the batting, then why fiddle with his position at all? Don't play Sanju then, right? Just play Jitesh Sharma down the order and that takes care of that. So I just feel like it's quite unnecessary. And again, you're being a bit, circumspect when you're pairing up Abhishek with Gill because you could just go all guns blazing otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly fair argument. I do think people are being too harsh on Gill at times with the selection. They're almost pretending as if Shubman Gill is like Kane Williamson in T20 cricket. I'm like, that's not true. He had like a strike rate of 160 this IPL season. He's clearly, like, I'm going to get slagged off for this, but you can tell he's the evolution of the Virat Kohli archetype, right? That's the way the team sees it. That's the way all of us see it. Where it's like, this is almost like, if you want someone of that archetype, he's probably the best choice you have, right?
Yes, I mean, I think I'm more than comfortable with accepting that argument because anchor batters now need to bat way quicker, right? Like, I think anchor batters are kind of dead, but let's suppose, there's a surface in which you kind of need to apply yourselves and you can't just go out there and smash the ball from ball one. Even then, I don't think you can strike it under, 140, 135 is the least I'm willing to go, right? Like conditions dependent. So perhaps, for those sort of surfaces, it does make to have Shubman Gill in there. But I don't know, man. I personally think that Jaiswal walks in ahead of him. Although I get what you're saying. Perhaps we are all being a bit too harsh on Shubman Gill. It's not the only conundrum over here, of course. I see that, pairing up Bumrah with two different kinds of bowlers, seam bowlers, is what India are trying to do over here. I'm surprised to see Bumrah in the squad in the first place. I thought they'd rest him. But, India are clearly taking the Asia Cup more seriously than I originally thought they would. So, on one hand, you have Arshdeep Singh, who is a new ball specialist. And then Harshit Rana is the slow ball guy who is more handy towards the death. Now, the argument, at least in our WhatsApp group, was that why not have Prasidh Krishna as a middle overs and death overs enforcer ahead of Harshit Rana, but then Harshit is Gigi's boy. How do you feel about all of this?
Yeah, I think all of us would have picked Prasidh just for his bowling, but I've been hearing things that they want to try maybe Harshit at 8 in some of the games, and if that's the case, you can't have Prasidh Krishna at 8. You just can't bat. So if that's the case, or like maybe they're going to alternate between Bumrah and Harshit between games, that's probably what they're thinking as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of works because I don't see India playing 3 frontline seamers. I think that it is absolutely imperative, especially in the UAE, for both of Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarti to start. And, Arshdeep is the new ball bowler over here, whereas Bumrah, you maybe give him 1 or 2 overs in the power play and then use him, primarily at the death. At least that's how I would look at it, right? And Hardik Pandya can bowl like the 6th over of the power play and then 1 over in the middle and 2 overs at the death. That's kind of how I see him. And he is absolutely crucial, right? Like having Hardik really is a bit of a cheat code in this team. So that means that, Harshit Rana only plays if Bumrah doesn't. At least for me, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, so I think I can show this to you. So the last time India played a T20 lineup, so we swapped the names. So they had, I think, Abhishek Samson, that they like Sky. They had Shivan Dubey at 5, Hardik at 6. And I think they had Dhruv Jurel at 7 or Rinku Singh at 7. One of them was batting at 7. And Akshar was 8. They had Ravi Bishnoi, Varun Chakravarti and Arshdeep Singh in the team. Right? I'm assuming we'll see a similar skeleton. That's one option A with what they can do. So let's say they make Sanju Samson. Sorry. What am I looking at? Oh, yeah, they did swap them.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's say they make Sanju Samson bat at 6 or 7 in this team, right? If that's the case, this is potentially one of the lineups we can see. And then Arshdeep just doesn't play. if they want to go in on all spin attack like they did in the UAE. But the argument against this would be you're wasting Akshar's batting at 8, right? His best
Yeah.
utilities would be, let's say, at 5 bashing spin.
Absolutely. No, so when I think of starting 11s, I am not particularly keen on having Shubman Gill at 3 at all, right? I want Tilak to come in at 3 because delaying Sky's entry point from number 4 further down just doesn't make sense to me at all.
No, I don't
right?
think
Like Sky,
that's how they use Tilak. So the way they use them is you have a left-right opening partnership. If the left-hander
Of
goes out,
course.
Tilak walks in. If the
Gambhir
righty
ball.
goes out, Sky goes in. I think that's why they wanted Tilak to remain at 3 because otherwise you'd have Gill at 3 and Sky at 4.
Yeah.
And I also think they just rate Tilak, so it might be just one of those cases. And that's why I was initially against any of the top 5 being replaced because they all did so well in T20 internationals. It would be unfair to drop any of them, right?
Yeah. So if, for instance, they had Jaiswal ahead of Gill, then they would have the double left-handed thing, which would kill Gautam Gambhir.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's probably
So anyway, let's work with what we've got, right?
Yeah.
We start with Abhishek Sharma and Shubman Gill. Then, as you said, depending on who goes out, you get one of Tilak Verma or Surya Kumar Yadav. Now, let's take a deep breath. All right, collective deep breath. Are we sold? And this is coming from a big Shivam Dubey fan. Are we sold on him starting?
I think he will start, but I'm not sold on him being in the squad.
Yeah, see, I feel like that is Akshar's spot, isn't it? And he's proven it.
That is actually spot. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So the
Move him
aggressive
in there.
move would be,
Move him up there. I want Akshar at 5 for now.
so let's say the aggressive move would be Akshar at 5, Hardik 6. Sorry, let's say Sanju at 6 and Hardik at 7. Right? You have Kuldeep Yadav at 8.
Yeah.
Let's say sorry, you're not going to put Varun Chakra with it, right? Varun Chakra. So Bumrah at 9. I already forgot who I'm doing. So okay, VC at let's say 10. Sorry, Arshdeep at 10 and VC at 11. Right? That would be the
Sure.
aggressive move. I completely
Don't call
understand
him.
what. that-
Don't call him VC. People might mistake him for Gill. Yeah, but yes, I like this team. The only thing I probably do differently over here is that you have Sanju Samson at 6, and I mean, for all I know, he could probably do a job over there. But I feel that
No, I
Jitesh
don't
has
have him
proven
at
to
6.
us-
I think
Yeah.
I think they will have him at 6 because what we've been hearing, and Jitesh is just a backup for him at 6.
Fair, but I think that Jitesh should be starting at perhaps 7. I would have Hardik at 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's what I was assuming initially before I heard the whole Sanju Samson thing. And technically, that does make some semblance of sense because Sanju in that case would be a backup batter. But then why is Rinku Singh in the team?
True.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's so confusing me at times, right? Does Rinku play then? I don't know. What are they?
So-
it's a bit muddled there. Like,
I'll give you a permutation in which Rinku can play. Gill
Go
goes
for it.
out. Sanju
Okay.
opens ahead of Shubman Gill. And that way, you can play Rinku Singh at 6 or 7. Because you don't
You
need
can do
Jitesh. Yeah.
yeah, you can do that. But the problem there is Rinku Singh has been in no form whatsoever. But neither
then
is Shivam Dubey.
Shivam Dubey wasn't informed this IPL either.
Yes, exactly.
But then again, IPL form, I always take it with an ounce of salt. Remember how terrible an IPL Hardik Pandya had before
Yeah.
the T20 World Cup, and then Hardik was one of the heroes for India.
I think Hardik is different though, because people were saying to drop him. I'm like, who are you going to drop him for, right? That's not the case with some of the other people in this team, right?
Yeah. I mean, considering that India have a long tail, I mean, sure, you could say that Kuldeep is an improved batter, but having him at number 8 is a bit iffy. But then again, I think you need to play those 4 frontline bowlers. I don't want to gamble with more than 4 overs, for instance, right? And your
So
gamble is
the
also
other-
Hardik Pandya. It's not a big gamble
Yeah.
at all.
So the other thing I've heard is, so if they, let's say they do, instead, let's say you don't play Kuldeep and you have Harshit at 8, you play you play all this going on, all the seamers whatsoever, right? Then you have 2 proper spinners and then you have 4 seamers, right? That's the other thing we've heard. So, they could do anything with this team, right?
Yeah.
Let's
I
say,
think Gill,
let's say you still play
Gill-
Kuldeep and you don't have Arshdeep and you do Bumrah and Rana. Then you're kind of doing an aggressive move by having Rana at 8 instead of, because in that case you're basically replacing Shivam Dubey and Abhishek Sharma's bowling with Harshit Rana's bowling in that essentially, right?
And I'm assuming Akshar Patel is opening the bowling over here, right?
Who is opening the bowling? I don't know. I think Hardik will open the bowling.
No,
and
I
Bumrah
mean,
will open one, right?
in this particular lineup, because if Arshdeep plays, Arshdeep is probably bowling 3 in the power play. At least I would have him bowl 3 in the power
Yeah,
play.
that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I think Arshdeep has to start, see, because you've
I
get... I know
think
you
he has
don't-
to
I know
start.
I know
don't
you don't
disagree.
rate the left arm angle as much as perhaps I do, but it does add a bit more flavor into
No,
this
I
bowling
rate it in
attack. And
T20 cricket. I think it's overrated in Test cricket.
fair. But I think
Yeah.
like he does provide you with a very specific skill set, Arshdeep. And when you've got Bumrah and Hardik, right, who are going to be your death bowlers as well, you don't really need Arshdeep at the death. Perhaps one over at most. So I think 3 at the start from Arshdeep in the power play makes complete sense to me. And this is still looking like a pretty strong team. Just swap Rinku out for Jitesh and Gill in for Samson, because that's probably the more realistic lineup. I saw Sky's interview where he was like, "Oh, when we started this journey, Shubman Gill was my vice captain, and now he's my vice captain again." I was like, "Okay, I don't know what that
It
means."
is a
but fine.
technically true as a statement.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is technically true. Yeah, I don't know if they'll do this because again, the last time India played a T20 team was versus England. They had Shivan Dubey at 5 and Akshar Patel at 8. I assume they'll do that again because these guys do like the batting depth. But I think the counter argument to that would be these boys are, I think, less Gulbis susceptible than I think, let's say, KL and Virada, right? Because Abhishek Sharma doesn't care who's come. He could play with 10 number 11s and he's still by the same way, right? Like he doesn't care.
Also, if you are going very, very batting heavy and you're saying like, okay, apart from Hardik and Bumrah, everyone's just going to be bowling spin. We've got Akshar, we've got Kuldeep, we've got Varun. In that scenario, Arshdeep goes out for a Rinku Singh.
No,
I mean, it could happen. It's not
That's all right.
beyond the realms of possibility.
I'm just trying to think of that lineup. So what was I saying initially? So the last time they would have played it, they had Dubey 5, they had Akshar 8. Let's say they still play Sanju over Jitesh, which I think seems likely at this point. And then you could have Bumrah and Arshdeep if you want 2 seamers in there. Let's say you only want 3 spinners, then you'd probably replace an Arshdeep for a Kuldeep.
Yes.
Right? In that case, that's probably what we are expecting. I think one of those things will happen. They can do a lot of fun stuff. You can have a defensive, I guess not defensive. You could go for a defensive bowling lineup. You could go for a complete overkill strike bowling lineup, right? Because that's the argument we were making, right? If you'd say Kuldeep Yadav, Bumrah, Arshdeep, and Varun Chakravarti are in let's say they're in the top 15 bowlers in T20 cricket right now, right? Maybe top 10. Why would you not play all of them?
Yeah, that's the argument, right? And I feel like if I was the coach and captain, that's what I would be leaning towards. But considering how Gautam Gambhir is fascinated by all-rounders and deep batting lineups, I think that this particular lineup that you have right now, the starting 11, it's possible. It's quite probable, in fact, because he would want batting till 8 in that scenario. And he'd be like, okay, Hardik, Jasprit, you guys are the only seamers. It's the UAE. We can work with it. But then again, what do we even know about the UAE conditions at this time of the year? Maybe there's dew. Maybe there isn't dew. Right? Maybe it's seamer friendly. Maybe it's too slow that only spinners will really be effective. We don't know these things yet. And in fact, the tri-series that Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the UAE will play will kind of be a precursor to this Asia Cup. And all of the teams will be watching closely with respect to conditions.
Yeah, scenes if all the seamers just take 10 wickets every game.
It happens, right? Like at the start of the year when the ILT20 is happening, that's the theme. It's the seamers who are taking all the wickets.
Yeah, definitely. I think what was it? It was one of the IPL season. There was incredible help for fast bowling at the start, and then as the pitches wore out, that's when we saw spin come in, right? So I think we have a super chat for you, by the way, from Andy.
Oh,
so he's
Andy
saying,
asks,
what is the Pakistan public's perception of the current Indian team? Is there an awe for the players as there was for Pakistan players here in the 90s?
I feel like when it comes to awe, Virat Kohli was very, very popular in Pakistan. He definitely, I feel like his superstardom is so massive that, even in Pakistan, you have diehard Kohli fans. I used to go to press boxes all the time for 2 years straight. Every single time Pakistan played any sort of cricket, plus the PSL. And I would see people in a Kohli jersey. So I think he definitely qualifies. And I also think that there are a lot of people in Pakistan who do, recognize the genius of Jasprit Bumrah. Right? So that's 2 people. And I'm a big Abhishek Sharma fan. My co-host Saad Nasir on Pro Sports is a big Abhishek Sharma fan. I feel like anyone who has remotely followed Abhishek Sharma's career is an Abhishek Sharma fan because he's doing something different. He's going for the 12-ball 30s, and that's really exciting. Those 3 guys for now, I would say. I mean, awe is a strong word. You have to be like a bona fide great to have fans awestruck. I think Kohli falls in that category maybe not the rest so much. But I think everyone in Pakistan, at least everyone who takes their cricket seriously, is probably, under the impression that in India have the strongest T20 squad in the world right now. And I think that's also a fair kind of notion.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
I love this T20
Anyway.
team, I think. Even with, let's say, Gill at opening instead of all the high intent boys, but still.
Yeah. Anyway, before we move on to Pakistan, Varun, you and I, let's quickly make our starting 11s, preferred starting 11s for India. I'll start. All right.
Hit me.
I'll go Abhishek Sharma and Shubman Gill. Sure. All right. Tilak Verma, Surya Kumar Yadav. Swap Shivam Dubey for Akshay Patel for me. So I'll have Akshay Patel at 5. I have Hardik Pandya at 6. I want Jitesh Sharma at 7 because I feel like, he is better suited to a role batting lower down the order. And then at 8, I would have Kuldeep. At 9, I would have Jasprit Bumrah. At 10, I would have Arshdeep Singh. And at 11, I would have Varun Chakravarti. So the way I'm looking at this, Arshdeep Singh is bowling 3 overs in the power play. And then you might not even need a 4th over from him. Hardik Pandya is bowling 1 power play over. Jasprit Bumrah is bowling 1 to 2 power play overs. All right. Akshay Patel may or may not finish his quota. He might bowl 2 to 3 overs. I am for sure finishing the quota of Kuldeep and Varun Chakravarti through the middle. And then towards the death, I'll definitely bowl Bumrah out. And I'll see what combination of Hardik and Akshay I eventually use. And whether or not I give Arshdeep his final over. That's how I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I largely agree with you. I think probably have the same 11 as you. I don't care enough about either of Sanjay Samson or Jitesh Sharma to pick one of them at 7. I don't think it would make much difference in the grand scheme of things.
Well, who
Yeah.
do you think is the better keeper?
Who do you think is a better keeper? Can I pick neither?
All right, fair enough. Anyway, I think that the fact that Sanju Samson is not opening the batting in whatever competition he's playing right now is a very clear indication that he won't be opening the batting in the Asia Cup either. But you guys let us know your starting 11s for India as well in the comment section below. And also tell us which players would you have had in the squad and who would you have those players replace? Because I've been very vocal. I think that, Gill shouldn't have been there. It should have been one of Iyer or Jaiswal. And then I also feel that these boys are onto something when they're saying that Prasidh Krishna probably gets in ahead of Harshit Rana. Okay, so that is that. And before we move on to Pakistan, we will be taking a short break. Go nowhere because you're watching Good Areas Live with Varun and Behram, and we will be kind of assessing Pakistan's 17-man squad and starting 11s, potential starting 11s after a short break. So yeah, we'll be back in like 30 seconds. Go nowhere. Stay tuned.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today.
Welcome back to Good Areas Live. You guys are with Varun and Behram. And prior to the break, we discussed India's 15-man squad and potential starting 11s. Now we shall move on to Pakistan's 17-man squad and then their potential starting 11. So Varun, do the honors. Tell me who we've got.
We got Sahibzada Farhan, Sayam Ayub, Fakhar Zaman, Salman Agha, Muhammad Haris, Hassan Nawaz, Muhammad Nawaz, Shaheen Shah Afridi, Haris Rauf, Salman Mirza, Abrar Ahmed, Fahim Ashraf, Hassan Ali, Muhammad Wasim, Kushdil Shah, Hussain Talat, Sufyan Mukim.
All right, then. So I feel like there are a lot of really exciting players in there, and this is a new look Pakistan team. I personally, Varun, am more or less satisfied with this. The one guy I probably think really should have been there was Abbas Afridi. I'd probably have him ahead of Hassan Ali or Hussain Talat because I feel like Abbas Afridi didn't do much wrong to be axed from, the squad in the first place. And you can really get a lot of utility with him through the middle overs and at the death. And he's a handy hitter of the ball, so he could slot in nicely at number 8 or something like that. Mike Hesson, though, is obsessed with deeper batting lineups, maybe even more than Gautam Gambhir, because Mike Hesson likes like a proper bat at number 9, right? Like that's kind of how he views T20 cricket, that I want lots of bowling options and then I want an exceedingly deep batting lineup. This is the post-Babar and Rizwan era, of course, for Pakistan in T20s. I just want to know what are your general feelings about this team and the direction that they're headed in under Hassan and Salman Ali Agha.
Yeah, I think this batting lineup angers me less than what they've done like in the last year or so. Was it? I think there might have been the T20 batting lineup versus Australia that really made me like just hurt me spiritually. Like the hatred I felt watching that team bat. Like this isn't. I think this is a much like this is an improvement on that. I'd say the bowling doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. I will say that. Weirdly enough,
the bowling.
Yeah,
the bowling
I'm
has
more
been a
confident
concern.
in the batting than I am in the bowling.
It's interesting, right? Because when Pakistan were doing well as a T20 outfit and they reached a semi-final in the World Cup and then they followed that up with a final. They didn't win the title, but, Pakistan were a really, really good team because I feel primarily they had a really, really good bowling attack. Strike bowlers, left, right and center, heaps of variety. And then, when Babar and Rizwan would aim for 80 in the first 10 and go berserk, or Pakistan would go berserk in the last 10, that would work with that strike bowling force. The bowlers regress. Babar and Rizwan's methods become extremely outdated within a matter of years. And then Pakistan stick with that same approach and they pay for it. They lose to the USA. They crash out of the T20 World Cup in the preliminary round. They don't even make it to the Super 8s. And everyone's like, yeah, we kind of saw this coming. Fairly, that's basically where we were, right? Now, they've gone with a new look team, especially as far as the batting order is concerned. There is one big concern that I have, or no, it's not a concern per se, it's rather a question, and I feel like Mike Hesson needs to answer this question. We have seen Hesson's T20 team, Pakistan T20 team, open with one of Fakhar Saim and Saibzada Farhan, or two of those guys, my bad. So one of them sits out. We've seen that. So either Fakhar and Saim will open, or Saibzada and Saim will open, or Fakhar or Saibzada will open, right? And then we've also seen Hesson play all three. What would you lean towards?
Do they have a number 3 other than either?
I mean, Mohammad Haris is a decent number 3 if he has his entry point in the power play. So I would never send Haris out to bat if he's going to bat in the middle overs. It's either death or power play. That's how I look at him as a role player.
No, I think that's a fair. I think that's fair. If you're picking with an Haris or one of the other, it's bad in the top 3. I don't think you're missing a lot. So I have no issue with them experimenting with those 3. If you want to be harsh, you just pick 2 of them so there's clarity for you and for them as well, because it's not because I think sometimes if you open for your whole life, it's very difficult for you to switch out of it, and I feel like that happens with Fakhar at times if he's batting out of position.
Yeah.
So if
Fakhar
that's the
is
case,
an interesting one.
Yeah, but if it's the case, you probably should bench them. But if they fail and they bench him, they'll be scrutinized for benching him. So that's the issue,
true.
right?
They cannot bench Mohammad Haris because he is the only frontline keeping option, right? You're not going to want to keep with Saibzada Farhan because that is the specified, or that's who they have allotted the backup keeper role to, and I do not see that work at all. Like that is going to be a recipe for failure and an absolute catastrophic disaster, whatever you'd call it. Fakhar Zaman, very interesting one. I think he's slightly underachieved in his T20I career, although he has a really, really good T20 career. And thing with him is, despite the fact that we all know that once Fakhar is on a tear, Pakistan are generally, you'd expect them to do really well and perhaps even win the game. He's that match winner sort of ilk of cricketer. But Fakhar Zaman in the last 2 to 3 years has basically been injured more than he has been fit. And that is a concern. He's not even, young anymore. He's no spring chicken. He's like 35 or 36, and that's his listed age. We all know how these things work. So, although Fakhar, in Fakhar's case, it might be real because this guy was a Navy man. He was a Marine. So maybe his age is accurate.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So who would your openers be? Like your preferred openers? Do you stick with Siam and I already forgot his name? Saibzada?
Yeah, so look, I think that I'm not entirely, opposed to the idea of opening with Farhan and Saim and then having Fakhar at first drop. Then what you can do is you can have Salman Ali Agha as a floater. So if there is a crisis situation, then you send in Cousin Sal. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you don't have a crisis situation and you're in the middle overs, you send in Hassan Nawaz. The guy is, or at least up until now in this very brief career, he's proven to be a real asset when it comes to spin bashing. And it's not like that's his only skill. He can bash pace as well, as long as he's not facing the new ball. That's what I've kind of noted about him. Right? So I feel like he might be even a more exciting prospect right now for Pakistan in white ball cricket than Saim Ayub, because that's a mold of cricketer a middle overs spin basher who can also smash pace that Pakistan have not had in quite a while, right? So he could probably, or does probably hold the key for them. And then, of course, you go down and you have some all-rounders and potentially, who we looking at? Khushtil Shah, or if they want to play Hussain Tallat, or Fahim Ashraf for sure, I think will play, and Mohammad Nawaz. So you've got these guys then. And yeah, the bowling attack is an interesting one. I don't know what really to make of it. I know that Shaheen will be this starting seamer and new ball seamer over here. And I think they've got Salman Mirza in there just because if Shaheen starts to shit the bed, they have, a backup option. He's also left arm quick. Not as quick as... Actually, he might be just as quick as Shaheen at this point. Yeah. And he has a weirdly terrific T20 record. Very small sample size, but the man hasn't put a foot wrong thus far. Have you caught any of Salman Mirza?
Oh, I think maybe like glimpses of him in Bangladesh. That's about it. I don't think I've ever seen him fully. Yeah, so I was gonna ask you, like, what are your thoughts on potentially, maybe a dumb question, Siam at 3? Because I feel like every time I've seen him bat, he looks very vulnerable against initial fast bowlers. Do you think maybe protecting him for just like the few overs could help him?
The issue is that I feel like Fakhar and Sahibzada are both better players of spin than Siam. See? That's my issue over here. So if I have to bat one of those guys at number 3, weirdly enough, Fakhar does make the most sense because Sahibzada has been ballistic in the power play. It would be unfair to take the power play away from him.
Yeah.
And then because Fakhar is a better player of spin and can really, some days he will demolish spin. You take that chance with him at number 3 then. I would think that's probably what makes most sense. And then
So I have a
let's suppose...
question on Fakhar versus spin. Is he a good player of spin when he's starting or when he's set?
I feel like... Actually, I don't know the answer to that, but
Because
I've
I think
seen him...
I haven't checked it since last year. But do you remember when I was telling you that he's got a better record in T20 internationals when his entry points been in the power play?
Yes, of course.
Right?
And I expect his entry point to still be in the power play, Varun, right? Because I want Sahibzada and Saim to throw the kitchen sink at it. Otherwise, what is the point of any of this?
Yeah, what's the point of batting depth if you're not going to use the batting depth?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I feel like those guys have to attack, and even if they fail, that's fine. You take that chance, and then you get Fakhar, and all 3 of those guys, the directive or memo to them should be very straightforward. You maximize the power play. You just go for it over there, and we've got guys to cover because Salman Ali Agha, I feel like, unfortunately, his only utility to me seems that if Pakistan are in a pickle, he can come and dig them out of that hole. I would not send Salman Ali Agha out to bat ahead of Hassan Nawaz on a good day.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Though I think if you want your team to bat in an aggressive way, I do think it's very important that the captain has to lead front from that because the thing with aggressive cricket is you will look like a grade A moron at times when you get out. Right? That's just the plain risk of it, right? How many times have we seen Rohit look dumb playing his eye in certain ways? We used to see Owen Morgan with the England team, Ben Stokes under Bazball. You have to be willing to look like an idiot yourself as a captain to persuade your team to do that. So my worry is that if they're only going to use him as crisis situation, how is he going to inspire his team to play in an attacking way?
That is a really, really solid question. $1 million question, in fact. So I think that Salman Ali Agha, the reason he is T20I captain is because, they just didn't want to give the captaincy to one of the regular superstars. And weirdly enough, when you look at his record, I know Salman Ali Agha has been better in T20s this year, and he's shown in tented times, and a few very, very poor knocks have brought his numbers down. But otherwise, I was kind of impressed. I was like, okay, you are proving something to me in this format as well. He wasn't a show shot starter when he got this captaincy job. And even now, if you make a case that, hey, maybe we can have Hussain Tallat in this team somewhere, Salman Ali Agha would be the guy that he would replace. Right? So that's the issue. And that's why I feel like you do make a fair point. Although I will say this, that if he's a smart captain, he will just sacrifice his batting position for the more high intent players and players who can maximize a phase. And then Pakistan will always have just enough more batting towards the end. Because let's suppose Pakistan get to 55 for 1 in the power play. All right. And then they lose one of whoever of the top 3 is batting. Right. I feel in that scenario, there's no reason to send Salman Ali Agha. Then you send Hassan Nawaz, and if Hassan Nawaz doesn't work, then Salman Ali Agha comes. But if he does work, then you continue to push his batting order further down.
Yeah, I think that's probably how you should be using it, right? You have entry points in plan for everyone.
And then you've got Mohammad Nawaz in there, who I know is not really batting really, really well these days. But then again, he is a left-handed batting option, right?
Yeah.
So you could use him as an Akshar Patel, in theory. And you can count on Nawaz starting, right? Mohammad Nawaz will start every game in this Asia Cup, and
Okay.
Pakistan will not play both of Abrar and Sufyan. It won't happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I don't
want
think
it
we
to
were,
happen, but it won't.
we were talking about this, right? I don't see how it works out for them.
So let's make a starting 11, right?
Yep.
Let's say we
Let
have
me-
all three of those guys up top,
Okay.
and then you can move Salman. Yeah, he's fine at 4 for now. Floater 4, and Hassan Nawaz at 5.
Okay.
Yes. Let's keep Mohammad Haris at 6 because if you don't use him in the power play, then he can be a death overs specialist. He can come out and hit big over there, and I feel like he could do a job over there. It's not the end of the world. And if you don't go with the 3 opening batters in the first 3 positions, then Haris is an automatic number 3. I feel.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think that would be fine. Like good utility of him. Now you've got Nawaz at 7, right? And they will for sure play Fahim Ashraf or Khushdil Shah. So one of those guys will come in at 8. For
Kushtil
all
at
we
8.
know, for all we know, Khushdil and Fahim will be at 8 and 9. I'm telling you, this is very, very possible with the way Hassan is
Okay.
playing or kind of
I'm
assembling
going to put
this team.
Kushtil at 7 for my sanity. Let's say Kushtil at
Yes.
7, Nawaz at 8, and you're saying they play Fahim Ashraf at 9.
They could, although I don't think they
Okay.
should, but they could. But for our sanity's sake, right?
Okay.
Let's just chuck Khushdil Shah out for a second and have Fahim
thank
Ashraf
Lord,
at
thank the
7.
Lord.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do what we would do. All right. And now you have 3 frontline bowling options in Shaheen
I'll
Shah
get Shaheen
Afridi.
in. Okay.
Yeah, Haris Rauf perhaps will start, I would
Right.
assume. And then you have one of Abrar and Sufyan. And whilst Abrar might be the better spinner currently, I feel like Sufi Mac has a way higher ceiling than him. Being a left-arm wrist spinner, can turn the ball in both directions. He's been fairly accurate. One thing I
also-
noticed... Yeah.
Do Pakistan have a spinner who can turn the ball the other way? Or is it just Sal?
So, Saim Ayub has a carom ball, right?
Yeah, but that still wouldn't be turning it the other way.
No. So he has his
The-
conventional off spinner as well. And
Yeah.
Saim Ayub, I feel like he's a better part timer than Cousin Sal. I feel that's the case.
But hasn't Siam basically like almost like bootleg Suckland himself in a way? Whereas Carambol has
kind of
become his
has.
primary weapon. So his
It
off spin
has,
is basically gone, right?
His off spin
Yeah.
is shit, and his carom ball is the one that is a bit of a threat. And then you've got oh yeah, you're right. Maybe they don't have any other options. So Sufi Mac makes perfect sense. But this
Yeah,
won't happen.
because-
He won't start. Abrar will start. I'm quite positive about that. I would go the aggressive option. I would chuck Nawaz out.
You Chuck Nawaz out, okay?
Yeah, I would play both of Abrar and Sufyan.
Okay.
And then Shaheen can be my number 8, which is not the end of the world, right? Like
Yeah.
he can smash a few sixes. It's okay. I'm willing to if Hassan is saying that we need the extra batting to cover up for runs, my counter argument is that you will be gambling with 4 overs instead of 8 overs. And that's just like you're reducing the runs and taking more wickets that way.
I think the question they should be asking themselves is what's the best way they can win? Is it out batting teams or is it strike bowling? Like, why I can see where Hassan is coming from is I don't think they have enough strike bowling to warrant playing all strike bowlers. Like if this was Shaheen at his peak or Haris at his peak, and then you would without hesitation play Sufyan and Abrar together, right? I think where they're worried
Yeah.
about is I don't think they're confident in either of them. So you're gambling a lot in the batting in that case.
Another thing you could do is you could take Fahim Ashraf out, okay,
Okay.
and then you could bring Nawaz back in.
Better put Nawaz
Right.
out, yeah.
Yeah, and then Wasim Jr. He can hit a 6. He's not an all-rounder, right? But he can hit a
assume
6.
He's the backup for Haris.
He's the backup for Haris, and Hassan is just there for no reason because Salman Mirza is Shaheen's backup. That's why I
Okay,
wanted
yeah.
Abbas. If I
So,
had Abbas's option ahead of
Right.
Hassan Ali, I would have Abbas in the starting 11 somewhere because he provides both batting and bowling depth.
So let's say instead of Haris, you play Abbas, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that could have worked, right?
Yeah.
In
I
theory,
completely
in
agree
theory
with
it
you. In
works.
theory, that could have
That-
worked, right? Yeah.
That way you can play both frontline spinners. Now you cannot. And we know for a fact that one of Khushdil or Fahim Ashraf will be playing ahead of one of those frontline spinners because Nawaz is going to be a 4-over bowler, which is something that, again, does not make me very comfortable.
What was do you remember the last combination they went for?
Yeah, so they were playing those 3 guys up top. That's why
Okay.
I mentioned this in the first place, right? Otherwise, the flip side to that argument is Mohammad Haris at 3, and then you play
Okay.
both of Khushdil and Fahim Ashraf, right?
Yeah.
But then again, I feel like if you want to play more batters, might as well play the better ones. So you play all three of those guys.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after those guys, they had both Salman as a floater and Hassan Nawaz. And then, yeah, Haris, they weren't really batting at all. They would promote Nawaz at times, and they would
Okay.
have Fahim Ashraf as well. Fahim Ashraf has been playing everything, like every single
Okay.
T20 for Pakistan.
So they're confident
I'm quite
on him, okay.
positive. Yeah. He's okay. So here's another thing that they could do,
Right.
right? If they choose to play Fahim Ashraf, right, and you give him 1 over with the new ball, then
Right.
all you need to do is 3 Shaheen overs, and 2 overs could be Nawaz in the power play.
Who's bowling the death overs, sorry?
Or Saim could bowl in the power play. The death overs would have to be, I would hope they think of Haris Rauf as a 3 over death overs bowler.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 out of 5.
Okay, so where do you want Fahim in this lineup?
Fahim would have to come ahead of one of those spinners because they're
Okay,
going to play
I'll-
Nawaz.
I'll say, let's say he's ahead of Sufyan at this point. He's at 8.
I
if-
personally I would take Nawaz
Okay.
out for one of the frontline spinners and have Fahim at 7. They're not going to do that. So there's no point doing that on your little thing over here either.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that's a bit too risky. Like if for this team,
Okay.
I think Nawaz at 7 is as bad as I think I'd go in this combinations.
Yeah. And then you've got Shaheen, whose backup is Salman Mirza and Hassan Ali. The problem with Hassan is he doesn't really have a dedicated phase, does he? That's his issue.
No, yeah. What was he doing in 2017? Was he the middle overs bowler?
He was never a great T20 bowler. Like, he had a couple of good PSL seasons, but he was Pakistan's ODI's middle overs guy, right? That was
Yeah.
Hassan Ali. That's how Pakistan won the Champions Trophy, by Hassan Ali taking wickets in the middle overs.
Yep.
I personally think he didn't warrant a spot. I'm not trying to throw shade at him. I think that he has done well, and he's come here in this team on merit. It's not like his T20 numbers in the last couple of years have been dodgy, but I just don't see the role. I don't see how he gets into the first team because you need a new ball bowler and a death overs bowler who I'm assuming will be Shaheen and Rauf. And if both of those guys are playing poorly, I would rather give or take a punt on Salman Mirza and have Wasim Jr. as the Haris Rauf replacement.
Yeah, I think that's it. So if you had to pick a 15-man squad out of this, because they have to do this at some point, which two of them are you binning?
I think Talat goes out,
Okay.
Hassan Ali goes out,
I think
and
that's fine.
I would
You have it.
I might somehow make room for Abbas Afridi. Maybe I'd get rid of Khushtil.
Yeah, you could well.
Yeah.
But then you'd
That's
have no
probably what I
backup
would do.
batter.
Yes, but then again, you are playing like 8 batters, right? So
No, I mean,
you
if
need
someone's injured, then you'd probably don't have a backup.
Yeah,
I'd
you
have at least one
you do.
backup batter. Right.
You are making a very fair claim.
So I think if in the 15, let's say Hussain and Hassan go out, I think the only way Abbas could come in is for Mohammad Wasim.
Yes. And also bear in mind, if Fakhar gets injured, then you're looking at one of Babar Azam or Abdullah Shafiq coming into the team.
What's an arc
'Cause I
that would
don't-
be?
Yeah, that would be an insane arc. But I don't
Yeah.
think Pakistan are really spoiled for choice in that regard because Fakhar is a unique asset and there is every likelihood of him getting injured again because that's kind of been the story, right, for the past 2-3 years. It's a tricky one. And like Pakistan, I feel like they've covered some positive ground, but they're still a long way away from establishing themselves as a competitive T20 outfit. Although I'll take this team over whatever team played in that T20 World Cup any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair. So do you think they have it in them to win it?
No, but I think that if they have a good tournament, they could make the final. It's just that Pakistan, I feel like they are in that rung of competition where their games versus Sri Lanka, Bangladesh will be, and Afghanistan will be quite tight. If anything, I feel like Afghanistan might be a better outfit than them, right?
Yeah. I
So-
think they have insane spin attack, right?
Yeah, it won't be easy. A lot of this would be conditions dependent because, hey, if you bat second and there is dew, then all of those spinners, you can maximize versus them. So it might be one of those situations where, like the 2021 T20 World Cup, it could be a spin-dependent Asia Cup. But I don't think that Pakistan are out-and-out finalists at all. Although if they do well, they could beat that team. It's going to be an interesting test for them. I feel like this Asia Cup will answer way more questions for Pakistan than, say, India.
No, so my hot take is that I feel like I have a weird feeling about this. I don't think India will win. Not because I don't think they're good, but I think they'll lose just because because I feel like the cricket gods just want me to spend the next 6 months defending all the high intent people when all the fans would want all the anchors to come back in. I'm telling you, bro. I'm 100% sure there will be a phase where India will go too high in turn. They'll flop a couple of times, and Indian fans will turn on them. They like always do. It will happen. I feel like at some point. I'm waiting for that.
So Pakistan is currently experiencing something like this, where they are being more impactful or high intent than before, way more high intent than before, and they have struggled, especially on slow surfaces. If the UAE surfaces are slow again, then this is not going to be a good tournament for Pakistan. That's what the evidence suggests. But then again, I could make an argument that they've had so much practice on slow surfaces that maybe they're better, right?
So I think the issue they have is that none of the high-inset guys have any red ball skills to play tough pitches, and all of the guys who can do that can't hit the ball on a flat pitch at all. So they're stuck in this weird limbo, right? Because I think Salaga is the kind of person you would want on a tough pitch. He just, like, even if he isn't great on flat pitches, he just can't be a liability. And to be fair to him, I think he's done everything he can in his skill set, right, to do that. Like, I think that's fine for him, right?
He has overachieved. So this lineup that we have, this starting 11, is this your starting 11 then?
At the back, I can't remember what we even had.
We had Saibzada Farhan, Saim Ayub, Fakhar Zaman, Sal Agha, Hassan Nawaz. Who else do we have? Mohammad Aris at 6, Nawaz at 7, Fahim Ashraf at 8. Then we've got Shaheen Shafri at 9.
I replace Fahim and play Sufyan, and then have Shaheen at 8, Haris at 9. I'd back that. If it's gonna spin, I think 2 seamers is probably enough for them. I don't think you need 3 just because you want 3.
I just would want a bit more insurance with the bat, which is why I would have Fahim ahead of Nawaz in this. Because I feel like Saim Ayub and Salman Ali Agha, how much worse are they from Mohammad Nawaz?
I think that's fair. I don't even know who's the better batter out of Nawaz and Fahim. Is Fahim a better batter?
Definitely Fahim is the better batter. At least in this. Right? In this phase of their careers. So I think that kind of checks out for me. And then Shaheen at 8 is fine. I would love to see both of those two guys, Sufi Mack and Abrar Ahmed, operate in tandem in the same starting 11, which it's so baffling and upsetting that we haven't seen that yet. Like, they've gotten so many opportunities to try it.
Would it not be the most Pakistan thing to not try them at all and then suddenly do it in a World Cup game on a Tuesday?
Yeah, it would be the most Pakistan thing. Yeah. It would be in Hamban Tota in Sri Lanka. versus a weaker team, probably Italy. It could totally happen. But then again, guys like Hussain Tallat, I don't know why you even have him in the team. Because is he just backup for someone like Hassan Nawaz or Salman Ali Agha? Is that what your thought process is?
What does he even do? I think I was looking at his cricket for profile. He's like a right-arm medium or left-hand batter or something.
Yeah, but he's a left-hand batter who is good versus spin. Yeah.
Okay.
And he can bowl some really terrible right-arm medium pace.
Okay, so like Shivam Dube is bowling basically. Or is it worse than Dube?
No, it's probably Shivam Dube or maybe slightly worse, but it's like dibbly-dobbly, right?
So you're saying Hussain Tallat is Pakistan Shivam Dube?
No. Shivam Dube can smash spin like very few people that I've
seen in
my life.
Can't Shivam Dube smash spin anymore? Like, I don't know. He wasn't in IPL.
Anymore is a different question, but I have seen Shivam Dube do things that I've never seen Hussain Tallat do. That's probably a better way to put it. But I feel like, it's probably a similar sort of mold of player, I suppose. But then what exactly is Khushtil Shah? Right? Like,
what does Khushtil Shah do? Is he a left-arm finger spinner?
No, but he's not. He's just a hitter, and he's a terrible rotator of strike, and sometimes he really struggles versus spin. So I just don't know. I really am unsure of what his role is in this, because he's not getting into my first team. I know he's done well in recent times, but perhaps Pakistan, like, look, the other options don't bowl. You could have Irfan Niazi, right? Who has shown glimpses, but he hasn't really cemented his spot either. And then there's this guy Abdul Samad, and it might be too soon for him. So I think they're just trusting Khushtil because he's experienced. Anyway, I think that pretty much settles it. That's the 11 that we've made up. And the other thing you could do over here is you could probably, bring in, I don't want to say it, but you could bring in Mohammad Nawaz in for one of the frontline spinners that we have, which they'll probably do. And then they could also not play all 3 openers. And they could have Haris at 3 and then also bring in Khushtil. Those are the different permutations that Pakistan could go for.
Which one of Fakhar, Sayam and Saibzada will go in that case?
The one who is performing not so well.
So Fakhar goes, right? I think. I don't know.
I suppose, but Fakhar is the guy who can really wreck you, right, on his day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I think that's why Hassan wants to play all 3, because he's like these 3 are really good high intent batters and they can all, play a part. Anyway, you guys let us know what your starting 11s for Pakistan would look like in the comment section below and how you feel about the squad in general. I have mixed feelings. I think it's an exciting squad. I also would say that people, at least Pakistan fans, shouldn't look at this squad and think like, oh, they're going to achieve something over here, because it's a team in transition and they are trying something new. So these things aren't like, you don't get results overnight. It's a process, and if you will see results, you will see them over a period of time. So here's to hoping that Pakistan sticks with the same ethos till the T20 World Cup at the very least, and then hopefully they can be like one of those teams to beat, or dark horses in the T20 World Cup, right? Who's to say? All right, so that wraps up this episode of Good Areas Live. Just a quick reminder, you guys can go to goodareas.co and you can bookmark that webpage. That can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the fun work that we do as part of this team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. And, of course, if you want to enjoy ad-free content and talk to all of us exclusively and give us like podcast recommendations, you can become one of our supporters on Patreon. Because our supporters on Patreon are the ones who power our podcasts at Good Areas. And to do that, you have to go to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast. And yes, then we can go ahead and chat with you. It's a very inclusive community. It's a lot of fun. And, you'll see Varun making cameos, myself making cameos, and Jared's over there a lot, actually. So yeah, that kind of wraps this up. We guys, or all of us, will see you soon enough on some other podcast. And have a good one, folks. And see you soon. Goodbye.
Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.